Chapter 379. As soon as the Black Tiger's words came out, several high-level members of the beast-taming sect were stunned. More than a decade ago, when the Black Tiger's original spirit began to dissipate, they couldn't find the root cause even if they checked all the reasons, but they didn't expect that the Black Tiger itself knew what was going on. However, what was incomprehensible was that since the Black Tiger knew the reason for the dissipation of his original spirit, he didn't tell them. Perhaps it was because the Black Tiger knew that their cultivation base was not enough, and it was impossible to solve his problem. However, if this was the case, the Black Tiger could hide it. But why, when it saw Xianxia, it was so straightforward and direct to say its hidden injury? Could it be that it had discovered that Xianxia could cure its hidden disease? However, Xianxia was a small junior in the foundation stage. No matter how Fan Shan and the others observed and explored with their spiritual awareness, they couldn't see what was different about Xianxia. How could it make the Black Tiger Senior look at him differently? Xianxia was not surprised at all. The last time he touched the old tree demon with his spiritual awareness, the old tree demon called Xianxia a calf. This Black Tiger Senior entered the Deshang stage hundreds of years earlier than the old tree demon. It was very normal for him to be able to detect some clues. Perhaps it was because he was different that the Black Tiger Senior would tell him the root cause when they met. It was estimated that there was a glimmer of hope. How serious the injury is, what was the situation when it broke out, and how does the senior feel now? Please tell me. Xianxia ignored the surprised eyes of everyone and still asked respectfully. You all go back, let me talk to this little friend. The Black Tiger did not directly answer Xianxia's question, but waved his tail at Fan Shan and the others and drove them away. Fan Shan and the others did not dare to have the slightest neglect of the Black Tiger. Moreover, they also believed that Xianxia, a junior in the foundation stage, could not hurt the Black Tiger. Everyone said goodbye and left quickly, leaving only Xianxia and the Black Tiger at the entrance of the cave. Strange little guy. Seeing that everyone had flown away, the Black Tiger returned to the position of lying on the ground, but his mouth said, "Are you a cultivator or a calf?" Senior's eyes are as sharp as a torch. This junior admires you. Xianxia flattered him and then replied, "This younger generation junior is a cultivator, but by chance, I have practiced a kind of monster race cultivation method." The cultivation method of Chunyang Palace? Senior Black Tiger asked again. Xianxia immediately denied it and then explained, "I like to read some miscellaneous books, and I found it in a certain miscellaneous book." In order to treat Senior this time, I will have to ask your sect for some miscellaneous books to read. Black Tiger did not care about such a small request from Xianxia, and he did not need to worry about it. What he was interested in was whether Xianxia could restore his primordial spirit. Have you tried it on yourself? Xianxia nodded and said, "I've also tried it on one of the sect's mountain protectors. However, Senior's situation is a little special, so it might be a little troublesome." How troublesome? Black Tiger asked with great interest. It was related to itself. Even if it saw through life and death, it still had to try its best to fight for it when there was a way. Senior has an old injury from the heaven's retribution, which is the same as the mountain protectors of this junior sect. They are all caused by injuries. Xianxia first explained to reassure Black Tiger, then he continued, "But Senior's injury is definitely more serious than that of the one in this junior sect, so it will take a little longer. The specific situation depends on Senior's situation." "Prove it to me." Black Tiger hesitated for a while, then he suddenly said this sentence. If it was an alchemist with a bad temper, he could almost leave in a huff. "I'm here to save you, and you still have to prove it to me. I've already said that I've treated an injured beast. How can I prove it?" But Xianxia knew that Black Tiger was a master of the Deshang stage. If it weren't for his old injury, he might have been able to catch up with Elder Wu Xiong. Originally, he had already planned to leave it to fate, but now there was suddenly a junior in the foundation establishment stage who said that he could save it, so he naturally had more considerations. The beast-controlling secret art was directly launched, and his spiritual thoughts quickly touched the consciousness of predecessor Black Tiger. Immediately, the communication between the two was almost unhindered. Just this time, Black Tiger let go of most of his doubts. At the same time, Yang Chen also received a large piece of information from predecessor Black Tiger. What surprised Yang Chen was that the information actually included the image of his annual tribulation, as well as a lot of experience. Of course, the most detailed was the process of the injury, which was included in the process of crossing the tribulation to Yang Chen. This method was really convenient, and the confidentiality was quite high. No wonder predecessor Black Tiger would let the messenger Yang Chen prove it. This alone had benefited Yang Chen a lot. Even if he couldn't use it himself, when Shi Kuei, Xianxia, and the others crossed the tribulation, there would also be a lot of reference. It was just a short touch of spiritual thoughts, and they quickly separated. Even if outsiders saw it, they would think that they were just silent. No one would know that the information exchanged in a short moment was more detailed than a few days and nights of oral communication. Yang Chen's face also became serious, and he began to slowly analyze the problems. The process of the injury, the cultivation at the time, and the feeling later. Combining these, Yang Chen was able to judge what kind of treatment was needed. The question of whether it could be treated didn't need to be answered. There was no doubt about this. Otherwise, Yang Chen wouldn't spend so much effort to set up this game. But what price should be paid to make predecessor Black Tiger recover? It needed to be carefully considered. Predecessor, your injury has been delayed for too long. Although it is suppressed by your great cultivation base, it is very troublesome to break out. Yang Chen was not afraid to tell the truth. He said straightforwardly in front of Black Tiger, "My method can stabilize your injury within 5 years, but if you want to recover, it will take at least 10 years. It will take 15 years in total. Can predecessor accept it?" 15 years, I can still afford to wait. Black Tiger swayed his tail and said slowly, "What do you need? Go and find the boys who brought you here." In the words, there was already a hint of leaving the guest. Junior will leave. Yang Chen bowed again and was about to leave. Black Tiger added, "Our beast-taming sect is not a rich and imposing sect. Don't be too ruthless with your extortion." Predecessor, rest assured. Yang Chen held back his laughter and turned in the direction where Fan Shan and the others had just left. He quickly left. Outside this area, Fan Shan and the others had been waiting anxiously. They didn't know what predecessor Black Tiger would say to Yang Chen, but they were more worried about whether Yang Chen could be treated. In the midst of anxiety, they suddenly saw Yang Chen's figure. "Brother, how is it?" Fan Shan almost rushed to Yang Chen and asked nervously. Chapter 380. Not only Fan Shan, but everyone else also had the same nervous expression. It must be known that there was a Black Tiger Senior in the Deshang stage or a Black Tiger Senior. For the beast-taming sect, it was a matter of heaven and earth. They couldn't help but be nervous. "It can be cured." Yang Chen knew their mood and directly gave an affirmative answer. When they heard Yang Chen's words, the masters of the Yuanying stage all breathed a sigh of relief regardless of their image, and the atmosphere on the scene suddenly relaxed a lot. But, seeing that they were relaxed, Yang Chen slowly raised his tone and slowly made a turn. "What? Is there trouble?" Fan Shan and the others' hearts suddenly tightened again. "But what?" "It will take at least 15 years. Yang Chen did not deliberately tease everyone's appetite, and then said, "Moreover, the materials that need to be consumed are not a small number. You have to be mentally prepared. After all, the senior has an old injury from the Yin Fire Tribulation, which is extraordinary." Hearing that it would only take a little longer, and it would cost a lot of money, the hearts of everyone were relieved again. If a master of the Deshang stage had an accident, even if they wanted to simply treat it, it was estimated that it was impossible, and they were mentally prepared for this. On the contrary, Yang Chen was very sure to say the time, which made everyone feel relieved. This also meant that the injury of the Black Tiger Senior was finally cured. 15 years, for the long life of the cultivators, was simply a long sleep time. No one would care. Happy to be happy, Fan Shan did not dare to be rude to Yang Chen, but more carefully said, "What kind of materials do you need, brother? You make a list." Although my beast-taming sect does not dare to say that it is a big sect like Taishanmen's 5-element sect, but we will not belittle ourselves. This was natural. The raw materials must be solved by the beast-taming sect. It was a matter of course, even if Fan Shan did not say it, it should be handled like this. On the contrary, what Fan Shan said next was a reward for Yang Qin. Delaying my brother's 15 years of cultivation time for alchemy, I owe you a big favor. Fan Shan patted his chest and said, I don't dare to say anything else, but the disciples of the sect have already found the whereabouts of Helian Yun, who doesn't get along with you. I will personally take care of him for you. When Fan Shan took action, the impact was much smaller than when Yang Qin and Chunyang Palace took action. This was something that Fan Shan had considered thoroughly. He had found a way to help Yang Qin. You found his whereabouts? Yang Qin was startled, and a smile appeared on his face. This was an unexpected surprise. Regarding this, Yang Qin did not hold back and directly made a request. Big brother, when you deal with him, don't forget about the fire seed on him, especially the lunar true flame fire seed. I have a use for it. Rest assured. Fan Shan nodded his head and said, as long as he has a fire seed, including those of his disciples, I will gather it all for you. Little friend Yang, if you have any other requests, just say it, my beast-taming sect will never bargain. After Fan Shan finished speaking, the beast-taming sect master immediately took over the conversation and said again, delaying 15 years of cultivation, plus the favor of saving a master of the Dashang stage, was not something that could be paid back by killing a little Helian Yun and taking the lunar true flame fire seed. Although the lunar true flame was very precious, for the beast-taming sect, these were absolutely not enough. Senior is generous. This younger generation junior will not be polite. Yang Qin turned and bowed to the beast-taming sect master, and after getting up, he said, this younger generation junior has a bad habit of reading some miscellaneous books. If there are any miscellaneous books in the sect that have nothing to do with cultivation, please give it to me. This younger generation junior will be grateful. This younger generation junior will not ask for much. 20,000 books are enough. When they heard that Yang Qin just wanted some miscellaneous books, everyone was relieved. Not to mention that each sect itself had a lot of books that had nothing to do with cultivation. Even if they did not, they had to go out and plunder to meet this request of Yang Qin. The number of 20,000 books came from the Blue Cloud sect. It seemed that when Yang Qin rescued Elder Hua Wanting in the Blue Cloud sect, he also asked for 20,000 books, and also asked for a qualification to participate in the auction of the Blue Cloud sect. This was no longer a secret, everyone knew it. Compared with Hua Wanting, the new master of the Dashang stage, the Black Tiger predecessor was obviously more important to the sect. Only using 20,000 books plus Helian Yun and the fire seed to solve the problem, it was really a big bargain for the beast-taming sect. Although it was not as powerful as the Blue Cloud sect, the beast-taming sect could not be too stingy. The beast-taming sect master did not wait for Yang Qin to mention it again, and immediately consciously added a sentence to Yang Qin, my beast-taming sect auction. Little friend Yang, whenever you want to come, you can come to participate, you are always welcome. Everyone had a tacit understanding not to mention the relationship between the sect. In this matter, in addition to Yang Qin's favor, the beast-taming sect also had to return the favor to Chunyang Palace. However, this was a problem between the sect masters. Yang Qin was a junior disciple, so there was no need to mention it in front of him. By the way, seniors, this younger generation junior will go back to alchemy this time and need the help of my sect's medicinal hall master Zhu Qintao. Yang Qin suddenly thought of something and said again, the pill furnace of Helian Yun is good. I don't know if you can part with it and give it to my master Zhu? Before Helian Yun's realm fell, he was also a master of the middle Yuaning stage. Moreover, he could be invited by Wu Xiong to join the team of refining the heaven-seizing pill. His own alchemy level was not low, and the pill furnace was also first class. Zhu Qintao was only in the Jiedon stage, and the pill furnace was not a little bad, so it was just right to give him a good one. Such a small matter, it is not worth mentioning. The beast-taming sect master directly agreed to this small request of Yang Qin. Not only that, but also attached a sentence, after getting rid of Helian Yun, the beast-taming sect will keep a copy of the pill recipe we got from him, and a copy will also be given to your sect to express our gratitude. At this point, Yang Qin had no more requests. On the spot, He took out a blank jade slip and engraved the required materials on it. Since he wanted to do a favor, he might as well do it to the end. Some of the things that Yang Chen had in stock in Shangguanfeng, Yang Chen directly marked them out. As long as they were paid according to the market price of spirit stones, it would save the beast-taming sect a lot of trouble to plunder. For this, several high-level members of the beast-taming sect were extremely grateful. After a warm reception for Yang Chen, it was very grand to send Yang Chen back to Chunyang Palace. This time, in addition to the old friend Fan Shan, there was also the beast-taming sect master who sent Yang Chen home. There were some things that must be discussed by the beast-taming sect master and the palace master in person. The beast-taming sect master and elder Fan Shan once again visited Chunyang Palace and immediately caused a lot of chaos. The palace master and several elders came out to greet them and discuss important matters. After Yang Chen introduced them to everyone, he directly left the two distinguished guests and found the side of the medicinal hall. Chapter 381. Uncle Zhu. Yang Chen's goal, of course, was Zhu Chintao. The Chunyang Palace's medicinal hall master, when Yang Chen first joined the Chunyang Palace, gave Yang Chen a lot of support. This opportunity, Yang Chen certainly wanted to pull Zhu Chintao. For the arrival of Yang Chen, Zhu Chintao was very surprised. To be honest, Yang Chen made a name for himself as an alchemist master outside, but in Chunyang Palace, he had never really entered the medicinal hall. He didn't know why this time he came to find himself. Fortunately, Zhu Chintao was guiding the disciples today, so he did not retreat for alchemy, and Yang Chen was able to meet Zhu Chintao. Seeing Zhu Chintao, Yang Chen did not directly talk about this matter, but took Zhu Chintao and ran to the fierce sun courtyard. In his room, he set up a layer of restrictions by himself and secretly informed Gui Shanyo's body to set up another layer of restrictions. Some things were not suitable for many people to know. The beast-taming sect has been kept secret for more than 10 years, and this time the sect master would definitely talk about this with the head of the palace. Yang Chen would not publicize it to everyone. At least, those who were hiding in the Chunyang Palace could not know about it. What is so mysterious? Zhu Chintao was confused and could not figure out what Yang Chen was doing. Seeing that he paid so much attention to it, he asked in surprise, "Uncle Zhu, there is one thing that needs your help." Yang Chen asked himself that no one could hear their conversation, so he told the truth. After a series of causes and effects, Zhu Chintao was so surprised that he almost jumped up, and there was no shock of a Jedon stage master. What? Refining a medicinal pill to treat the injuries of a Dashang stage monster? Zhu Chintao's eyes were the size of a copper bell, and he couldn't believe everything he heard. Or is it a hidden injury left by the Yin fire tribulation for hundreds of years? How is it possible? How can martial Uncle Zhu be so unduly humble? Yang Chen looked at Zhu Chintao and was a little speechless. I didn't say it was impossible. Why is it impossible when it comes to Uncle Master? Ugh. Zhu Chintao then remembered that Yang Chen was famous in alchemy because he successfully refined the heaven-seizing pill. That was a pill that could allow one to ascend to the heavens. Compared to this healing pill, it was not just a little bit stronger. Can I really do it? But in any case, the medicinal pill of the Dashang stage, Zhu Chintao didn't even think about it. Not to mention the Dashang stage, even the medicinal pills of the Yuanying stage, Zhu Chintao did not have extravagant hopes. Chunyang Palace was not an outstanding sect in the field of alchemy. It was normal that Zhu Chintao did not have this confidence. Of course, this disciple still needs to rely on martial uncle's strength. Yang Chen certainly would not pour cold water on Zhu Chintao at this time. In fact, he wanted to use this opportunity to let Zhu Chintao be able to take another step in the realm of alchemy, and even push Zhu Chintao from the Jedon stage master to the Yuanying stage ancestor. How can I help? Zhu Chintao now suddenly figured it out. This was simply a great opportunity given by Yang Chen. Otherwise, with Yang Chen's ability to refine the medicinal pill to restore the pill spirit, how could he not be able to refine the medicinal pill to restore the true spirit? It was clear that Yang Chen wanted to let him broaden his horizons and improve his level. In terms of alchemy, even if Zhu Chintao was the hall master of the medicinal hall, he did not dare to say that he could compare with Yang Chen. Not to mention that Yang Chen created the qi-seeking pill when he was in the first layer of the qi refining stage. Even the medicinal pills that already had the pill recipe, such as the qi nourishing pill, Peiyuan pill and the foundation establishment pill, Yang Chen could already refine the third grade, but Zhu Chintao could only reach the second grade at most. This was the gap. If it weren't for the fact that Yang Chen's current cultivation base was low, and he was in the fierce Yang Hall, if he was under the name of Zhu Chintao would want to train Yang Chen as the future hall master of the medicinal hall. Now Yang Chen wanted to refine pills and asked him to help. How was it helping? It was clearly helping. In this kind of opportunity, Zhu Chintao, as an elder, could not say a word of thanks, but his heart was really grateful. How could he disagree? Then I will thank Uncle Zhu first. Yang Chen did not directly say how to refine. Anyway, the time was still early, and the materials had to be prepared. He was not in a hurry. There is no hurry for the time being, but recently Uncle Zhu has to arrange the matters of the medicinal hall first. If you start refining, you may not be able to take care of the medicinal hall for a year or two. Well, I will go back and arrange it. Zhu Chintao said nothing and got up to leave to arrange. Uncle Zhu is not in a hurry. Wait for the palace master's instructions. Yang Chen smiled. Zhu Chintao was also an impatient person. This kind of thing, of course, had to wait for the beast-taming sect master and the head of the palace to talk about it. Now he was really not in a hurry. Oh, I am too eager. Zhu Chintao smiled embarrassedly, simply sat down, put down his thoughts, and began to communicate with Yang Chen about the way of controlling the fire. The beast-taming sect has delayed the cultivation of Uncle Zhu for more than 10 years, and there is also compensation. Yang Chen first told Zhu Chintao the benefits promised by the beast-taming sect. Helian Yun's alchemy furnace will be yours in the future. Is there really such a thing? This was another unexpected surprise. He was already happy to let Zhu Chintao participate in this matter, but he did not expect that there would be substantial benefits to be obtained. How could Zhu Chintao not be overjoyed? That was the alchemy furnace of the alchemy master Helian Yun, a famous treasure, and it had become a predetermined item in the bag. You don't have a good alchemy furnace yet. This alchemy furnace is still for you to use. After being happy for a while, Zhu Chintao calmed down and refused. In addition to being happy, Zhu Chintao thought more. When it came to the talent of alchemy, it was clear that Yang Chen was far above him. If Yang Chen was given a high-level alchemy furnace, it could definitely make Yang Chen more powerful. It was a pity, but if it could help Yang Chen and give Chunyang Palace an alchemy master, what was an alchemy furnace? This disciple already has the best alchemy furnace given by Uncle Zhu. I don't need it. Yang Chen understood Zhu Chintao's mind. He now had the profound spirit furnace. How could he accept it? However, Zhu Chintao's thoughts made Yang Chen feel that it was not wrong for him to help Zhu Chintao this time. It was worth it. Zhu Chintao was definitely a person worth helping. Of course, Zhu Chintao didn't believe it, but after Yang Chen took out the profound spirit furnace, he looked at the profound spirit furnace that had already been upgraded by several grades. The almost earth-shattering change made Zhu Chintao completely believe that Yang Chen really had a best-quality alchemy furnace, so he nodded and agreed to accept it. The next thing was no accident. After the master of the palace and several elders communicated with the master of the beast-taming sect and Fan Shan, they sent the two away in a very grand manner. Immediately afterward, Yang Chen and Zhu Chintao were called. After some instructions, the two began to prepare separately. Chapter 382. Although Yang Chen had already solved some of the medicinal materials for alchemy, it would take some time for the beast-taming school to prepare all the materials. However, Fan Shan's actions were unusually fast. Some disciples of the beast-taming school had already discovered the whereabouts of He Lianyun. After confirming it, Fan Shan directly acted with the force of a thunderbolt. In less than a month, He Lianyun and several of his sworn disciples were captured on the spot. He Lianyun was a greedy and afraid of death, otherwise, he would not easily hand over the Sun True Fire. Faced with the threat of Fan Shan's death, he did not dare to bargain with Fan Shan. Between being swallowed by Fan Shan's spirit beast and handing over all the fire seeds in exchange for his life, He Lianyun cleverly chose the latter. The lunar true fire, which had just been in his hands, was obediently handed over, and even the ice flame, which had been refined in the early stage to absorb the lunar true fire, had to be handed over. Several of his disciples also handed over two kinds of fire seeds, the blue phosphorus fire and the blackwood fire. Advanced fire seeds were not often available, and several of his disciples had these two kinds of fire seeds suitable for alchemy. Fan Shan kept his promise and did not kill Helian Yun. Instead, after abolishing his cultivation base, he took them directly to the mountain gate of Chunyang Palace. This was the request of the head of Chunyang Palace. He wanted Helian Yun alive and the people of the Xiang family to be executed together to show the attitude of Chunyang Palace. Helian Yun did not expect that it would be such an ending. At this point, even if he begged again, promised countless benefits, and promised Fan Shan to refine many high-level medicinal pills, it would be of no use. Fan Shan and Helian Yun had cooperated and had already figured out his character. This time, the slander of Yangchen was completely made by Helian Yun. How could he cooperate with a villain like Helian Yun? If he let go of Yang Chen's promising alchemy master and let him offend Yang Chen, wouldn't he be a fool? This time, Chunyang Palace showed an unprecedented toughness in the matter of Yang Chen. In the beginning, he had quietly allowed the sects to question him and even confront him. Then, without batting an eyelid, he captured the Xiang family and He Lianyun, the master-disciple duo who had instigated this matter. Then, he announced to the world that he was going to kill every single one of them. As for the murder, it was naturally Yang Chen who took care of it. He was originally an executioner, and these people had a grudge against Yang Chen. Yang Chen was not afraid at all. Outside the gate of Chunyang Palace, under the gaze of hundreds of disciples and rogue cultivators from other sects, he beheaded these people one by one. This move of the pure Yang Palace directly caused a great uproar in the verbal world. The few big sects only said that killing too many people would harm the harmony of the world, and did not say much else. Everyone's way of dealing with things was basically the same. If anyone dared to come to them like this, the reaction of those big sects should be stronger than that of Chunyang Palace. Among the rogue cultivators, many people felt that Chunyang Palace was too overbearing. However, although there were many people who spoke, they only chatted when they got together. No one came forward to make trouble for Chunyang Palace. Against Chunyang Palace for a few dead people? Although the rogue cultivators did not have the backing of a sect, it did not mean that they were fools. How dare they come to them? Didn't they see that Helian Yun and the Xiang family had all been killed? The beast taming school expressed its support for Chunyang Palace in a timely manner. This kind of guy who slandered others should be killed. The big sects did not object, and the rogue cultivators did not dare to say anything. Among the second-rate sects, the beast taming school and several other sects that were on good terms with Chunyang Palace all supported them. Who else had any objections? Even if there were, no one dared to go to Meiqing Mountain to argue with Chunyang Palace. The guys who had said bad things about Chunyang Palace and Yang Chen on some occasions before were smart enough to shut their mouths at this time. They no longer dared to mention how they spread the rumor that Yang Chen had taken the recipe of the Xiang family's heaven-seizing elixir at that time. As the saying went, rumors stopped with the wise, but more often than not, it was the strong who stopped with the rumors. Those who still hoped to get the recipe from Yang Chen, in the face of such a situation, also felt the attitude of Chunyang Palace. No matter whether the flame of greed in their hearts had been extinguished, at least on the surface, they had no more excuses. After this incident, everyone also began to gradually realize that Chunyang Palace was not so easy to provoke now. In recent years, the strength of Chunyang Palace had greatly increased. There were more masters in the Deshang stage and Tuyuaning stage. Not to mention that in the great calamity of the demonic cultivation, other sects had more or less losses, but Chunyang Palace had not suffered any damage. Under such additions, the voice of Chunyang Palace in the Dao sects was also increasing day by day. These were all things to be considered by the head of the palace and the elders. Yang Chen was now happy with a lot of fire seeds. Blue phosphorus fire, blackwood fire, cold ice flame, moon true fire. There were 4 more kinds of fire seeds at once. If the 4 kinds of flames were absorbed by the profound spirit furnace, The profound spirit furnace could definitely become the most powerful alchemy furnace in the mortal world. Even Deng Ya's purple alchemy furnace could not be compared. Among them, the blackwood fire was a third fire, which could let Yangchen refine it as a buffer before refining the sun true fire. As for the other flames, except for the moon true fire, the blue phosphorus fire and the cold ice flame were all fourth fires, which could be combined with the earth core fire to further enhance the cultivation of the fourth fire. The absorption of the fire seeds was also gradual from low to high. When the cultivation base was strong in the future, it could be refined and fused with more advanced flames. The fire seeds refined in the body could also be fused with each other to improve the quality. The moon true fire Yangchen didn't even think about it now, but several other flames could be considered for refining. However, for today's plan, it was better to let the profound spirit furnace absorb it first. It could greatly improve the grade of the profound spirit furnace, and it would also have great benefits for the next alchemy. It would take a long time to refine and integrate these flames, but it could be done during alchemy. Others thought that Yangchen would delay his cultivation because of alchemy. Perhaps they would never dream that Yangchen could also improve his cultivation base during alchemy. Zhu Chintao also got the alchemy furnace he dreamed of. The high-level alchemy furnace refined by the Yuanying stage alchemy master made him unable to put it down. When he got it, he began to sacrificial refine under the reminder of Yangchen and strive to use it before starting alchemy. A high-level alchemy furnace could not only improve the level of the alchemy master, but also increase the success rate of alchemy and improve the quality of the refined medicinal pills. When Fan Shan handed these things to Yangchen, he also gave Yangchen an approximate time when the materials could be gathered. Yangchen still needed to wait for almost a year before he could officially start refining the medicinal pills. This year, it was just enough for Yangchen to improve the profound spirit furnace. Yangchen certainly would not waste this time. The fire seeds of the four flames were already in the hands of Yangchen, waiting for him to absorb them with the profound spirit furnace. Chapter 383. Ancestor Wang Yong has now begun to refine the Qilin horn flying sword. After Gong Sunling came back, she went to the valley. As long as she could thoroughly master the maze, plus the best quality spirit stones given by Yangchen for Gong Sunling, it was also a life-saving weapon. And Gao Yu also went out with Yangchen and began to meditate to cultivate the water attribute cultivation method. This time, Yangchen's alchemy would take more than 10 years. It was estimated that he would not have much time to see his master, so Yangchen came to his master in advance and prepared everything that could be used for Gao Yu. What is this? Gao Yu looked at the Qingquan bag that Yangchen handed over. She did not directly open it, but curiously asked. After a period of time, this disciple will retreat with Uncle Zhu for alchemy, so I prepared some fruits for master in advance. Yangchen said with a smile, this disciple's filial piety, master can also use it at the beginning of your cultivation. Oh yes, master, remember that the fruit must be peeled before eating. Yangchen also exhorted a sentence. If you eat one a day, it can almost last until this disciple comes out. As for others, don't think about it for the time being, wait until the sect clears some people first. The latter sentence was without rhyme or reason, making Gao Yu feel like she was in a dark cloud. Until Yangchen left, Gao Yu did not understand what Yangchen meant. What fruit? Peeling it to eat? After Gao Yu opened the Qingquan bag and took a look, her whole person suddenly froze in place. Although Gao Yu was focused on refining, it did not mean that she did not know the medicinal herbs. These in the Qingquan bag were clearly the profound yang fruit. Moreover, it was 1,000 years old profound yang fruit, all of them were about 1,500 years old. Each fruit was strong, neatly placed in the Qingquan bag, there were tens of thousands of them. If she ate one a day, it was definitely enough for Gao Yu to eat for 27 or 8 years. Every profound yang fruit of this age, as long as it was refined properly, it could be used to obtain several high-quality building foundation dawn. If an ordinary cultivator wanted to buy such a profound yang fruit, it would be impossible for them to do so without paying thousands of low-grade spirit stones. These 10,000-thousand-year-old profound yang fruits, once taken out, could be exchanged for 100 gene of top-grade spirit stones. Such a huge amount of wealth and resources, in the mouth of Yang Chen, had unexpectedly become a fruit to show filial piety to his master, and he even wanted to peel it and eat it. Didn't Yang Chen know that this year's profound yang fruit, even if it was only the skin, was also a very precious medicinal ingredient? For a moment, Gao Yu did not know what to do with these profound yang fruits. Was he really going to follow Yang Chen's instructions and eat it as a fruit? If these things were handed over to the sect, how much strength would 10,000 high-quality foundation-building pills bring to the sect? But Yang Chen's last sentence reminded Gao Yu. She now also understood what Yang Chen meant. The Bright Moon Palace had a lot of opinions about Yang Chen and his disciple. It could even be said that they were hostile. And this time, the Xiang family's Helian Yun actually knew that she had sealed her cultivation to cultivate a water attribute cultivation method. It was obvious that someone in the sect had leaked this information, and the Bright Moon Palace could not escape from it. If these things were taken out, it would be troublesome. Perhaps it would cause people to target the two of them. Since Yang Chen had said so, Gao Yu also took the opportunity to put these things away. Presumably, Yang Chen had already made arrangements. Gao Yu did not believe that Yang Chen would not care about the sect. It could be seen from Yang Chen's actions these years. After thinking about this, Gao Yu finally put down the knot in her heart. She tried to follow Yang Chen's instructions, peeling off the skin of the profound yang fruit and eating one. Suddenly, a huge amount of spiritual energy exploded. Even with her current cultivation level of the 3rd layer of Qi training, she couldn't completely absorb it. In the end, after the water attribute spiritual power had improved a lot, she unlocked the fire attribute spiritual power and used her gold core stage cultivation to absorb this huge spiritual power completely, without any waste. At this time, Gao Yu knew why Yang Chen asked her to eat only one a day. He had already calculated her cultivation. According to this speed, when Yang Chen finished refining pills in 10 years, Gao Yu's water attribute cultivation was estimated to be able to reach the middle stage of the foundation establishment stage. After all, she had the state of mind of the gold core stage and the spiritual awareness of the peak of the gold core stage. After feeling such a feeling, Gao Yu could also feel the kind of complete trust from Yang Chen. He did not hide such things from her. For Yang Chen, Gao Yu was already satisfied with her disciple. In the past few days, Zhu Chintao had already settled the medicinal hall and even entrusted the law enforcement hall master Meng Xian to take care of it. There were many foundation stage and gold core stage alchemists in the medicinal hall, but they were all ordinary alchemists. They were managed by the law enforcement hall master, so there would be no big trouble. Yang Chen's own identity as a disciple had to be put down. After more than 10 years of retreat for alchemy, it was impossible to continue to serve as such. This made everyone in the 9 Earth Mountain Villa and Yi Xiu Villa somewhat reluctant. Not for anything else, in the years that Yang Chen taught as a disciple, almost no one had worried about the troubles of cultivation. Now Yang Chen was going to retreat for alchemy because of the sect's affairs. However, the statement of the head of the palace was that Yang Chen's time as a disciple was over, and it was a normal rotation. This was a very natural rotation, no one could see anything wrong with it. The places for preparation and alchemy were all chosen in the small courtyard of Yang Chen's fierce sun courtyard. At this point, the head of the palace originally wanted to arrange a more secure place, but Yang Chen insisted on staying here. What a joke, where the body of the old tree demon Xianxia was there a safer place in Chunyang Palace than here? Yang Chen's 4 servants, in the years of cultivation with Yang Chen, have been spared no effort by Yang Chen. All of them have reached the peak of the Qi refining stage. Before this retreat, Yang Chen also had to fulfill the promise he had made to the 4 of them. These are 4 third-grade foundation pills. Yang Chen called the 4 people in front of him. In front of each person he placed a foundation pill with a clear pill pattern. You are now at the peak of the foundation stage. I promised you the foundation pill, take it. After the foundation stage, you are my Chunyang Palace's inner sect disciples, no longer slaves, take care of yourselves. The 4 people looked at each other, and their faces were full of uncontrollable joy. They thought that they were going to be the slaves of the Yixio villa for a lifetime, but they did not expect that following Yang Chen, there would be a day when they became inner sect disciples. Of course, all of this came from Yang Chen. The pavilion near the water enjoys moonlight first, and the guidance they received was the most detailed and frequent. Almost half of their current achievements were attributed to Yang Chen. "Thank you, young master." The 4 people kowtowed and thanked him. Yang Chen did not stop them and accepted this bow. "This is the last time you call me young master. After the foundation stage, I will be the senior brother." Chapter 384. The 3 Cycles Foundation Establishment Pill was enough for 4 people to build their foundation. After thanking Yang Chen, the 4 of them got up and looked at Yang Chen, but they had mixed feelings. From the beginning, the 4 of them were not convinced by Yang Chen, and they even wanted to occupy Yang Chen's monthly allowance. Later, they were beaten by Yang Chen. After following Yang Chen for so many years, they also got a lot of benefits. Not to mention anything else, just changing from the identity of a servant to an inner disciple of Chunyang Palace was already a transformation from hell to heaven. Although they didn't say much, the 4 of them knew that they would definitely follow Yang Chen's footsteps in the future. The things that Yang Chen did in Chunyang Palace and his reputation in Chunyang Palace, they knew better than anyone else. There was absolutely no mistake in following Yang Chen. "He Lian, if you can build your foundation within a year, I can allow you to serve me and Uncle Zhu in retreating for alchemy." Sure enough, before she could build her foundation, the benefits had already been promised. Yang Chen looked at He Lian and encouraged her. "If your performance can satisfy Uncle Zhu, it is not impossible to become his disciple." He Lian was overjoyed and hurriedly thanked him again. Following Yang Chen and Zhu Chintao for retreating for alchemy was a rare opportunity. He Lian was now focusing on alchemy, and of course, she knew the preciousness of the opportunity. As for becoming Zhu Chintao's disciple, it was even more surprising. Zhu Chintao was the master of the medicinal hall. Although he was only in the gold core stage, everyone in the sect was polite to Zhu Chintao. Becoming his disciple was definitely the first choice of disciples in Chunyang Palace who wanted to become an alchemist. Of course, becoming Yang Chen's disciple might have a better opportunity. Unfortunately, Yang Chen was only in the early stage of foundation establishment and could not accept disciples yet. But to He Lian, this wasn't a big deal. Yang Chen was her former master. If she had any questions, she could ask Yang Chen. Yang Chen would never refuse. After sending away the 4 people who were pleasantly surprised, Yang Chen simply sealed his courtyard door and began to upgrade the profound spirit furnace. Having absorbed the earth core fire, true sun fire and Nanmingli fire, the grade of the profound spirit furnace was already very high, and it was no worse than the alchemy furnace of He Lian Yun. The jade phosphorus flame and the ice flame were both fire seeds of the same grade as the earth core fire. At this moment, it was not so difficult for the profound spirit furnace to absorb them. When Yang Chen absorbed the earth core fire for the first time, it took him half a year. Of course, at that time, Yang Chen's cultivation base was also low, and the grade of the profound spirit furnace was also poor, but now he didn't have to work so hard at all. The blue phosphorus fire and the ice flame both belonged to the 4th fire nature. Yang Chen easily absorbed the 2 kinds of fire seeds into the profound spirit furnace. In total, it had been less than 2 months. The profound wood fire was a little troublesome. Compared with the earth core fire, it was a little more advanced. However, there was no pressure for the profound spirit furnace that had already absorbed the true sun fire. It only took 2 months for the profound spirit furnace to successfully absorb the profound wood fire and store it in the furnace body. The next true moon fire was troublesome. This was the same grade as the true sun fire, but the nature of the flame was completely opposite. If Yang Chen wanted to absorb it, he could not let the true moon fire and the true sun fire in the furnace body have any contact. With his current cultivation base, he could not control this level of flame. Fortunately, there was already the true sun fire and the Nanmingli fire. Although it was difficult, it was not insurmountable. All that was needed was Yang Chen's care and patience. Yang Chen, who had played with fire for tens of thousands of years in his previous life, how could he be stumped by a small true moon fire? It was almost the same technique and the same process when he absorbed the true sun fire, but he carefully controlled the true sun fire in the profound spirit furnace to not meet the true moon fire. It was equivalent to controlling two kinds of flames at the same time, but for Yang Chen, it was only a little longer on the time. Half a year later, the true moon fire was also perfectly absorbed into the profound spirit furnace. Counting the 4 kinds of flames that were added later, there were already 7 kinds of fire seeds in the profound spirit furnace, including the sun true fire, the moon true fire and the Nanmingli fire, the 3 high-level flames, and the grade of the entire magic weapon was almost doubled. The furnace body of the profound spirit furnace exuded a kind of hazy light. It was no longer the previous crystal clear jade color, it looked like an illusory feeling. However, Yang Chen knew that the profound spirit furnace at this time, not to mention He Lianyun's pill furnace, even the purple pill furnace that Deng Ya used to refine the heaven-seizing pill was put in front of the profound spirit furnace, it was also a slag. The profound spirit furnace that had absorbed 7 kinds of flames had almost grown to the extreme of the magic weapon in the mortal world. Of course, if it could absorb the pure yang true fire passed down by the ancestors of the Chunyang Palace, it would be the real extreme, and there would be no better alchemy furnace than the profound spirit furnace in the mortal world. The magic weapon on Yang Chen's body was only the profound spirit furnace, which could be promoted to a high grade without Yang Chen's cultivation base. At this moment, the profound spirit furnace, on the contrary, did not have the light of the high-quality magic weapon, it was restrained and illusory, and it looked inconspicuous. Anyone who saw the profound spirit furnace in front of them would not associate this inconspicuous pill furnace with one of the most powerful alchemy furnaces of the heavenly court in the future. With the current profound spirit furnace, it would be easier for Yang Chen to refine the healing medicinal pill for the black tiger, and the success rate would be higher. At this point, Yang Chen's preparation work has been completed, and it took almost 10 months for Yang Chen. Next, he was waiting for the beast-taming sect to send the medicinal materials to the door. During the waiting period, Yang Chen went to see his master again. With the nourishment of Yang Chen's millennium profound yang fruit, in these 10 months, Gao Yu's cultivation base had advanced by leaps and bounds, and she had jumped from the 3rd layer to the 5th layer. In the short span of 2 months, she had advanced 2 levels. Even the world-famous fairy Shi did not have such a cultivation speed. Of course, both Yang Chen and Gao Yu knew that in addition to the reason of the profound yang fruit, Gao Yu's powerful Jedon stage spiritual awareness was also one of the most important reasons. But even so, Gao Yu was already a little surprised. Was she really suitable for the cultivation of the water attribute cultivation method? But she was clearly a fire spirit root. Master can rest assured to cultivate, and you will naturally know the reason later. Yang Chen certainly would not tell Gao Yu the reason now, and he would not publicize it. In his previous life, it was because others knew that Gao Yu had the full value of the acquired water spirit root, so they forced Gao Yu to be a Dao companion and a cultivation furnace. In this life, before Yang Chen had the power to protect Gao Yu, Yang Chen would never say it. He Lian did not disappoint Yang Chen's trust. In just 10 months, with the help of the 3-grade foundation building pills, she successfully built the foundation. In fact, Yang Chen's 4 slaves were all about the same cultivation base. The other 3 had already built the foundation and entered the inner sect. Only He Lian was still waiting for Yang Chen, waiting to see if she had the opportunity to worship Zhu Chintao. Chapter 385. Before Yang Chen went into seclusion, he was summoned by the head of the palace. The reason for this summons was because Yang Chen's 4 slaves had all reached the foundation establishment stage. The inner disciples of the Chunyang Palace, from the top to the bottom, which one did not have a slave. The slaves around them, after a long period of time and under the guidance of the master, had succeeded in building the foundation, but all the slaves had reached the foundation establishment stage. And in a short period of more than 20 years, only Yang Chen was able to make all the disciples with poor qualifications who had been reduced to slaves reach the foundation establishment stage. This point has fully explained Yang Chen's excellence in guiding people. It was natural to guide a disciple with good qualifications to build the foundation. But to be able to make the original slaves reach the foundation establishment stage, this was the ability. The reason why the head of the palace summoned him was to know the reason why Yang Chen's guidance was so sharp. Was it possible for other disciples to do the same as Yang Chen? It must be known that the more solid the foundation of a cultivator was when laying the foundation, the higher the achievements in the future. The head of the palace wanted to improve the strength of the sect all the time. The reason? Yang Chen almost cried and laughed. He had to answer the question of the head of the palace, but he couldn't tell the head of the palace that he had been reborn and there were still 10,000 years of memories of his previous life, right? He could only use another reason that everyone could accept. Palace Master, this disciple has read all the millions of jade slips in the Sutra Pavilion of our sect and memorized them. There are a lot of cultivation experiences of the predecessors, especially the difficulties they encountered in their previous cultivation. Yang Chen was also telling the truth. He had indeed read all the Sutra Pavilion of the sect off and on over the years, and he did not lie at all. Moreover, this disciple has built the foundation of all 5 elements. I have personal experience. If the disciples of each department have problems, this disciple can know their feelings. This was the second reason given by Yang Chen. It had to be said that this reason was very convincing. Many of the training instructors were only able to provide guidance to their own branch of cultivation, while those from other branches could not. This was also because their knowledge was limited. Both reasons sounded reasonable, but it wouldn't be so easy for someone else to recreate them. Not to mention the disciples of the foundation stage, even the Yuanying stage masters such as the head of the palace and the elders could not do it. Perhaps reading 1,000,000 jade slips could be done, but memorizing them was easier said than done. Needless to say, he could give pointers to every department. After a moment of hesitation, Yang Chen suggested, actually, if we set up 5 cultivation imparting disciples, 1 for each department, we would be able to do better than what we are doing now. However, this suggestion clearly went against the unspoken rule that the disciples of the various sects should follow their destiny. No one had set the rule that there could only be 1 cultivation teaching disciple. However, all the major sects had such a rule and no one had broken it. When Yang Chen said this, the head of the palace suddenly frowned. It's not good to casually change the rules of our ancestors, right? The mind of the head of the palace also began to move slightly, but this was obviously against the rules. Although he was tempted, he might not be able to implement it. The Hall of Eccentrics is not in line with the rules of our ancestors. Yang Chen reminded with a slight smile. If my Chunyang Palace is the first to do everything, it will be attacked by a group of people. The head of the palace thought for a while and shook his head slightly. Is there a safer way? We can't be caught by other sections. It was estimated that all the sects knew that if there were more cultivation teaching disciples, they could better guide those outer sect disciples. However, they didn't know which ancestor left the rules, but they had to use this to prove the immortal fate of all the cultivators, which led to such a cruel and inefficient method of transmission among the various sections. The reform of the immortal cultivation sects was even more difficult than the change of the dynasty. Even the Hall of Eccentrics had no precedent before. Even if there was resistance in this regard, it would not be too big and the benefits to the sect were large enough, so the Chunyang Palace clenched their teeth and implemented it. Just in time for the support of Elder Wu Xiong and the great calamity of the demonic cultivation, everyone reluctantly accepted it. Chunyang Palace was only a second-rate sect. After a series of previous events, if the way of teaching disciples had to be changed, it would never start from Chunyang Palace. Therefore, the head of the palace would look for Yang Chen to find a way. There is still only 1 cultivation teaching disciple in the 9 Earth Mountain Villa, but every disciple in the peak of the Qi refining stage, if they volunteer to serve as the assistant of the cultivation teaching disciple and guide the cultivation of the younger disciples for a year, they can get a second-grade foundation building pill from the sect. Will it improve? Yang Chen saw that the head of the palace really wanted to improve the reserve strength of the Chunyang Palace. After thinking for a while, he gave a compromise. A disciple in the peak of the Qi refining stage instructing the younger disciples. When the head of the palace just listened, he immediately figured out the meaning, and his eyes flashed with some excitement. This was not a violation of the rules. There was still only one cultivation teaching disciple. However, a disciple in the peak of the qi refining stage would be more or less helpful to the disciples in the qi refining stage. It was still much better than letting them explore by themselves. For these disciples in the peak of the qi refining stage, a second-grade foundation building pill could greatly improve the chance of building the foundation. It was also a good choice, the best of both worlds. Could. The head of the palace nodded again and again. In fact, this time, he did not really want to get any specific methods from Yang Chen. He just wanted to know the reason why Yang Chen could give such advice, and see if it could be copied. Unexpectedly, Yang Chen really gave away, which was a pleasant surprise. Yang Chen was sighing. These cultivators in the mortal world were still relatively pedantic, and even not as flexible as those guys in the heavenly court. Perhaps it was because they just cultivated wholeheartedly and never thought about breaking the rules of the cultivation world. It was completely unlike the officials of the heavenly court that Yang Chen had seen, but they were always wondering how to find some loopholes in the system of the heavenly court to meet their own needs. Yang Chen, you have made a great contribution this time. The head of the palace was very happy. Yang Chen, this disciple, could always give him some surprises. With such a disciple, why would he worry about the revitalization of the Chunyang Palace? The traitor disciple who leaked the news of your master has been found. He is the disciple of Song Xing of the Bright Moon Palace. The head of the palace quietly informed Yang Chen of the news. He has admitted that he did it himself and was not instructed by others. How do you think it is better to deal with it? He handed the power of disposal to Yang Chen. Kill. Yang Chen almost did not hesitate to say the word kill, revealing the weakness of his master and putting his master in danger. Was there anything more that could make Yang Chen angry? For Yang Chen, such a person was an enemy, and there was only one word to kill. Chapter 386. The word kill also determined the fate of that guy. Since the head of the palace asked Yang Chen how to deal with it, it was a small reward for Yang Chen and would never go against Yang Chen's meaning. A traitorous disciple, if he was killed, who would say half a word of no? Who could say half a word of no? Even his master Song Xing could not. Originally, the head of the palace also wanted to ask Song Xing if Yang Chen could really solve the bottleneck. It had been several years since the last time Song Xing, as the acting master of the Bright Moon Palace, made things difficult for Yang Chen. Presumably, Yang Chen's resentment had slowly faded, but now the head of the palace did not ask this question at all. Perhaps he already knew what the answer would be after he asked it, so he simply saved the embarrassment of asking it. Listening to Yang Chen's answer, the head of the palace just sighed. It seemed that the contradiction between Yang Chen and the Bright Moon Palace seemed to be irreconcilable. The people of the Bright Moon Palace repeatedly provoked Yang Chen, from Chu Heng to Liang Xiaoming, to Song Xing, and now it was Song Xing's disciple. The repeated actions made the head of the palace very dissatisfied with the Bright Moon Palace. This time, if it were not for the disciple who took on everything and the law enforcement hall did not catch the weakness of the other people of the Bright Moon Palace, the head of the palace would want to clean up the Bright Moon Palace. It could only be said that this time, the people of the Bright Moon Palace were lucky. Compared with Yang Chen, a disciple who constantly fought for various benefits for the sect, some people of the Bright Moon Palace were almost a model of betrayal. The anger of the head of the palace had accumulated to the maximum value. It was estimated that as long as there was someone who did not have eyes and jumped out to provoke again, the head of the palace would definitely use the Bright Moon Palace to establish his prestige. These were just small episodes. After Yang Chen waited for more than a month, the people of the beast taming sect finally prepared all the medicinal materials and sent them over. During this period of time, Yang Chen and Zhu Chintao had already discussed the pill recipes that they were going to refine this time. They had already prepared the sequence and were just waiting for the medicinal materials to arrive. For the sake of Yang Chen, Zhu Chintao approved He Lian as their assistant during their seclusion. This made He Lian so happy that she almost jumped up. Even though she had successfully built her foundation, she still couldn't keep her heart as calm as water. It was still Fan Shan who delivered the medicinal ingredients. After handing over all the medicinal ingredients one by one, Fan Shan finally solemnly took out a jade bottle. When he handed it over to Yang Chen, he was still reluctant to part with it and did not immediately let go. "Brother, this is the powder of Senior Black Tiger's inner core. I scraped it off according to your request." Fan Shan spoke almost in a pleading tone. In order to scrape off this powder, Senior Black Tiger is in unbearable pain, and his cultivation base has been reduced by at least a few decades. "Brother, you must succeed on your first try." "Brother, rest assured I know what to do." Of course, Yang Chen knew how painful it was to scrape the powder from the monster core, but it had to be done. Only the medicinal pill with the powder of the inner core could be most compatible with Senior Black Tiger, and it could be perfectly healed. The small price was worth it. In Fan Shan's expectant eyes, Yang Chen and Zhu Chintao began the first 5-year retreat with He Lian. In this stage, the two of them had to refine a kind of medicinal pill to stabilize the hidden injuries of Senior Black Tiger and stop them from continuing to deteriorate. In addition to these, the three of them also had to deal with all the medicinal materials needed for the second stage of refining. The next second stage of 10 years of alchemy was the real medicinal pill to restore the injuries. Speaking of it, the refining process this time was even longer than the refining time of Elder Wu Xiong's heaven-seizing pill. However, it was not incomprehensible. When refining the heaven-seizing pill, there were 3 Yuanying stage master alchemists, plus the help of Elder Wu Xiong himself and Fan Shan. Now there was only Yang Chen in the early stage of the foundation stage and Zhu Chintao in the peak Jidan stage. The time was naturally different. At the request of Yang Chen, the old tree demons sealed the entire small courtyard of Yang Chen. As long as it was not Chunyang Palace facing a disaster, it was not Gao Yu's life and death disaster, it must not disturb Yang Chen. According to Yang Chen's memory, nothing major happened during this period of time. The sects were developing steadily and there should be no accidents. "Uncle, I will refine the medicinal materials first, and then it depends on Uncle." Yang Chen once again confirmed the refining process with Zhu Chintao and He Lian, and then began to refine the medicinal materials with the earth core fire. The difficulty of the medicinal pill to consolidate the injury was not very high, but in a few key places, it required Yang Chen's unique technique. In the early process, Zhu Chintao began to refine according to Yang Chen's instructions. Only in the later stage, when Zhu Chintao's power to control the fire was insufficient, would Yang Chen take over. As for He Lian, she was still the assistant responsible for delivering the medicinal materials. Her main energy was to learn from the actual alchemy process of the two. Zhu Chintao was unprecedentedly solemn. This was the first time in his life that he had participated in the process of refining the medicinal pill used by a master of the Deshang stage, and he was also the main alchemist. Yang Chen only made a move at the critical moment. It could be said that 90% of this medicinal pill was refined by Zhu Chintao. If this medicinal pill was successfully refined, not to mention Zhu Chintao, the main alchemist, He Lian could get the reputation of Yang Chen when he refined the heaven-seizing pill. Such an opportunity made both of them very cautious, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Refining medicinal materials under the two-pronged efforts of the earth core fire and the current grade of the profound spirit furnace, plus Yang Chen's super ability to control the fire, it only took a short period of 10 days to adjust all the medicinal materials to the strongest state, only waiting for Zhu Chintao to open the furnace. A year's time was enough for Zhu Chintao to refine He Lianyun's alchemy furnace. As soon as the pill furnace was opened, He Lian began to hand over the medicinal materials according to the previous plan. Zhu Chintao took a long breath and looked at Yang Chen on the opposite side. When Yang Chen nodded his head heavily, he added the medicinal materials into the alchemy furnace. To be cautious, Zhu Chintao even used the alchemy method of Yang Chen when he was in the qi refining stage. He grabbed the ears of the pill furnace with both hands and began the refining of the first stage of medicinal materials. When he saw that Zhu Chintao had slowly become familiar with it from the very beginning, stabilized the control of the fire and began to refine, Yang Chen took out the profound spirit furnace and began the process of absorbing and refining the fire seed. Just like when refining the heaven-seizing pill, Zhu Chintao and He Lian were carefully refining, and Yang Chen was cultivating. This time, Yang Chen's plan was to absorb the profound wood fire, blue phosphorus fire, and ice flame. The first to bear the brunt was the third fire, profound wood fire. Chapter 387. Now Yang Chen's spiritual power was basically the same in 10 attributes, and they were all at the level of the third level of the foundation stage. However, for others, this was very strange. Yang Chen was a fire attribute spirit root, but it was an equal improvement in all attributes. Now his cultivation base was low, others would not say it, but when the cultivation base was high, there would be people who would question it. In terms of the quality of spiritual power, the fifth earth spirit power was the most powerful, the cultivation method was the fifth earth true secret art, and the spiritual power was the fifth earth true essence, the most original fifth earth chi. Next was the first wood spirit power and the second wood spirit power. One was the spiritual power of the Penglai divine wood, the other was the spiritual power of the blood phantom vine. Next was the fourth fire spirit power, which was the spiritual power of the earth core fire. Slightly weaker than the fourth fire spirit power was the third fire spirit power, because the third fire spirit power had only been burned by the Sun True Fire and Nanmingli Fire, and it had been refined a lot, but because it had not absorbed the fire seed, it was slightly worse. The other spiritual powers were ordinary spiritual powers. There was nothing special, belonging to the last level of spiritual power. The level of fire seed like the profound wood fire was something that Yang Chen could directly use now. After absorbing the profound wood fire, he could slightly upgrade his third fire spirit power and reach a balance with the fourth fire spirit power. The method was the same as the previous absorption of the earth core fire, controlling the profound wood fire from the profound spirit furnace, and then entering the meridians of Yang Chen's body, using the third fire spirit power to absorb and convert. The process was very simple and boring. It was necessary for Yang Chen to have precise control of the flame and to be able to endure the pain of the flame during the absorption process. These were nothing for Yang Chen, who had already absorbed the earth core fire once, and had also absorbed the Sun True Fire in his previous life and endured the pain of tens of thousands of years. The only thing to pay attention to was that Yang Chen could not be too careless and absorb too much at once, so as not to cause a backlash. He Lian was surprised to see Yang Chen fall into the state of cultivation in front of her, and Zhu Chintao, holding the ears of the profound spirit furnace in both hands, she did not know what he was doing. Strangely, there was nothing in the profound spirit furnace, which made He Lian puzzled. However, even though she was puzzled, He Lian did not move in the slightest. Instead, she carefully walked between Yang Chen and Zhu Chintao, separating Yang Chen and the alchemy furnace in Zhu Chintao's hands. If something were to happen to Zhu Chintao while he was refining pills, He Lian could help Yang Chen block some of the damage. Zhu Chintao meticulously refined the medicinal herbs according to the previous plan. Yang Chen had already explained to Zhu Chintao when to add so many herbs, what kind of heat to control the fire, and how to control the fire. Zhu Chintao also remembered it clearly. Excitement and caution made Zhu Chintao enter a very mysterious state. In his eyes, besides the alchemy furnace in his hand, there was nothing else. To be more precise, there was nothing else other than the medicinal herbs that were being refined in his alchemy furnace. He wholeheartedly operated according to the process that Yang Chen had told him, without making any mistakes. He Lian looked at Zhu Chintao's performance and then looked at Yang Chen, and suddenly there was a kind of understanding in her heart. She couldn't achieve Yang Chen's full understanding and excellent aptitude, but she could learn the attitude of Zhu Chintao's hall master. Whether it was cultivation or alchemy, it was a very good attitude. The flame of the profound wood fire entered the body of Yang Chen. Finally, after accumulating enough flames, the third fire spirit power roared and the whole began to burn. The intense burning made Yang Chen's meridians suddenly painful, and the third fire spirit power seemed to be burned out in a short time. Yang Chen knew that this was the profound wood fire assimilating his own spirit power and also condensing his spirit power. He was very familiar with the pain and converted the other spirit power into the third fire spirit power, continuously supplying the profound wood fire to burn until all his third fire spirit power began to be converted. The profound yang fruit that had already been in his mouth was directly eaten. The huge spirit power of the past was only enough for Yang Chen to restore all his spirit power. With a strong backup, the spirit power burned more smoothly. Finally, after a series of absorption, refining, and transformation, Yang Chen's third fire spirit power successfully transformed into the profound wood fire spirit power. Boom! At the end of the whole process, Yang Chen once again entered the sea of consciousness. There was another change in the sea of consciousness. On the trunk of the Penglai divine wood, there was suddenly a circle of burning flames. The flames were raging and rose high, but the pillars of the Penglai divine wood were unscathed and strangely existed in the sea of consciousness. The scope of the sea of consciousness began to expand again, but this time the scale of expansion was not much. Just after growing by 20%, it stopped expanding. Fortunately, this expansion seemed to be not far from returning to its original size. The spiritual awareness increased again, but this time it did not break through the peak Jedon stage, but stayed at this stage. However, Yang Chen could clearly feel that the spiritual awareness had reached the limit of the peak Jedon stage. As long as there was a little increase, he could enter the realm of the early Yuanying stage again. The third fire spirit power was completely transformed into the profound wood fire spirit power, which also led to the improvement of the third fire spirit power. After Yang Chen swallowed a profound yang fruit again and restored all his spirit power, Yang Chen was pleasantly surprised to find that his third fire spirit power had been promoted to the fourth level of the foundation stage and entered the middle level of the foundation stage. Opening his eyes, Yang Chen saw He Lian in front of him, his heart moved, and he was very satisfied with the state of He Lian's protection. He asked He Lian in a low voice, only to know that 4 months had passed. Yang Chen walked to Zhu Chintao and began to check the situation of the refining of the medicinal pill. Zhu Chintao didn't seem to notice Yang Chen at all, just staring at the alchemy furnace in his hand. Looking at his state, it has been almost 4 months without change. This made Yang Chen admire it, and he felt that pulling Zhu Chintao to do alchemy this time was a very correct thing. So far, there was almost no mistake in the refining of the medicinal pill. At this speed, as long as it takes another 3 years, Zhu Chintao would be able to refine the medicinal pill to the point where Yang Chen would take over. The time was still early. Yang Chen sat down again, and after telling He Lian to take care of it carefully, he once again took out the profound spirit furnace. This time, Yang Chen intended to absorb the jade phosphorus fire. The jade phosphorus fire was the fourth fire, which was at the same level as the earth core fire. For Yang Chen, there was no difficulty, it only needed patience and time. Everything was in Yang Chen's plan, including the absorption of these flames. Yang Chen's purpose was to let everyone clearly realize after the completion of this alchemy that he was still a cultivator with a fire spirit root and not a hodgepodge. Chapter 388. It was not difficult to absorb and refine the jade phosphorus fire. The difficulty was to integrate the earth core fire and the jade phosphorus fire. However, Yang Chen's purpose was not to integrate it at this time, but to absorb and refine it first. For months later, Yang Chen once again completed the process of absorption and refining. The fourth fire spirit power in the body has also become 2 kinds. Among the 108 spirit power threads, half of them are the earth core fire spirit power, and the other half is the jade phosphorus fire spirit power. The absorption of the fire seed made Yang Chen's spirit power improve again, and the fourth fire spirit power directly broke through the third layer of the qi refining and also entered the realm of the fourth layer of the qi refining. The biggest change was in the sea of consciousness. The sea of consciousness expanded again, and finally expanded to the size of 100 acres before Yang Chen and Gao Yu's double cultivation. A group of flickering light spots appeared in the air. It was not like a flame at all, but Yang Chen knew that this was the entity of the jade phosphorus fire, and it was the most fundamental state of the jade phosphorus fire. The spiritual awareness, which had reached the edge of the breakthrough, finally improved again, and rushed into the early Yuanying stage with an unstoppable momentum. However, this time, the spiritual awareness was more condensed than the spiritual awareness before the double cultivation, and the quality of the spiritual awareness was also higher. Now in Yang Chen's body, only the third fire and the fourth fire spirit power rushed to the fourth layer of the qi refining. Although the other spirit power has also improved, it is stuck in the limit of the third layer of the qi refining and has not been improved. After a short rest, after checking the progress of Zhu Chintao's refining, Yang Chen sat down again and began to absorb the ice flame. In He Lian's eyes, Yang Chen's body began to emit a thick fire in this short 8 months of cultivation. If it was said that it was impossible to feel what kind of cultivator Yang Chen was before, then now it could be clearly discovered that Yang Chen was a thorough fire attribute spirit root cultivator. The heat on Yang Chen's body was getting stronger and stronger, but the strange thing was that there was a feeling of raging flames that made people feel as if they were in contact with it. At the same time, there was a cool feeling like a phosphorescent fire in the middle of the night. It was very strange. He Lian had just reached the foundation establishment stage not long ago and had yet to acknowledge a master. At most, she was consolidating her realm according to Yang Chen's guidance. Naturally, she did not understand what was going on. But soon He Lian discovered that after 4 months, Yang Chen's body had gained a bone-chilling coldness. It was a very strange feeling. It was clearly a flame, but it gave people a bone-chilling chill, making them feel very conflicted. At this point, He Lian finally remembered that fire attribute cultivators could also absorb different kinds of fire seeds. Presumably, this fire seed was a kind of ice flame. The frost ice flame was of the same grade as the earth core flame and the jade phosphorus flame, but it was harder to absorb than the earth core flame and the jade phosphorus flame. In any case, the earth flame and the jade phosphorus flame were still considered to be flames that gave off heat, while the ice flame was purely freezing. In this sense, it seemed that the ice flame was more like a kind of water attribute. Yang Chen was already prepared. Based on the 3 flames in his body, he steadily absorbed the ice flame into his meridians. Soon, the 108 spiritual power threads of the 4th fire spirit power became a combination of 3 kinds of flames. Each of them had 36 spiritual power threads, no more, no less, equally distributed. The absorption of the ice flame once again brought about the improvement of the 4th fire spirit power. This time, the 4th fire spirit power directly broke through the 4th layer of the qi refining realm and entered the 5th layer of the qi refining realm. After Yang Chen reached the foundation establishment stage, it took a full 15 years to upgrade all his spiritual power to the main 3rd layer. But now, in a short period of 1 year, the 4th fire spirit power had jumped 2 levels, and the 3rd fire spirit power had improved by 1 level. In short, the fire attribute spirit power had entered the middle stage of the qi refining realm. The sea of consciousness changed again, and expanded a little, reaching a radius of 110 acres. The roots of the Penglai divine wood and the blood phantom vine entity had a large group of burning ice flames, crystal clear, as if it was frozen. His spiritual awareness was once again improved, but it still stayed in the early stage of the Yuanying stage, but it had reached the apex, and if there was any increase, it could break through. Now in Yang Chen's body, it was already obvious that the aura of the fire cultivator, especially the 4th fire spirit power, had been raised to the highest. Zhu Chintao's refining process was uneventful, but his concentration did not slow down at all. During the 1 year of Yang Chen's absorption of the 3 flames, Zhu Chintao relied on his amazing perseverance to continue to maintain his full concentration in the refining. He Lian was a dutiful assistant, helping Zhu Chintao to pass the medicinal materials at the right time, or feeding him the qi-nourishing pill and peiyuan pill, so that Zhu Chintao could always maintain abundant spiritual power. Yang Chen did not dare to give Zhu Chintao the profound yang fruit. The level of the profound yang fruit, in addition to distracting Zhu Chintao and distressed, would never have any better use. It would take another 2 years for this kind of refining to be handed over to Yang Chen. At present, there was no abnormality, and everything was on the normal track. Yang Chen had a plan, once again sat down and began to integrate the blue phosphorus fire and the ice flame in the body. The earth flame was not integrated for the time being. Xianxia needed to use the earth flame to improve the quality of alchemy. The process of integrating the flames was a process of improving his own spiritual power again, and it was also a process of improving the quality of the flame in the body. It also meant that Yangchen's fire attribute cultivation base was more powerful. Compared with refining, integration was more difficult. Fortunately, the grade of the two flames was not very high, and the difficulty of integration was not very big. For Yangchen, it was still a matter of time and patience. There was no pressure. For 2 years, the fourth fire spirit power threads in Yangchen's body, which belonged to the blue phosphorus fire and the ice flame, were constantly in contact, fusion, separation, contact, fusion, repeating this process, and finally in the last 2 months, they began to truly integrate, and there was no distinction between them. He Lian had begun to get used to the constant changes in Yangchen's aura, and she was also used to the rapid improvement of Yangchen's spiritual power in a short period of time. She didn't know how to understand it. In just 3 years, Yangchen's cultivation base seemed to have gone up another level, to the 6th layer of the foundation stage, and was about to enter the late stage of the foundation stage. This improvement, of course, was because of the flame fusion. The fourth fire spirit power was once again improved. In Yangchen's body, it was already very obvious that there was a fire attribute spirit power. However, this time the improvement of spiritual power did not bring about changes in the sea of consciousness. The body of the flames was still there, and it had not been integrated. His spiritual awareness had not improved, and it was still stable. The fire attribute spirit power outshone others. Whether it was the third fire or the fourth fire spirit power, it surpassed the other spirit powers, which made the other spirit powers not so conspicuous. At this point, Yangchen could finally announce to anyone that he was still a fire cultivator, a cultivator with a fire spirit root. The fastest way for a fire cultivator to improve their cultivation base was to absorb and integrate various flames. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.